Hi there guys, Alexacraft here. I've been asked by a few people recently about how and why and what got me to start Second Life or a store making clothing or whatnot, right? Well, the thing for me was, I'm just gonna jump straight into it. Um, I was a big fan of anime when I first found out about Second Life, and I saw, I think, a trailer by, I don't remember the name, that it had a bunch of kimono avatars in it. There were a bunch of cute anime girls, furries, and so on and so on. I thought that they were like extremely cute and such. So I said, okay, there's no anime game on the market for that I can play at the moment. Might as well give this a try, right? I logged in 2007 or 2006 with an account I made. I had no idea how to move. I logged off the game. Like took me about I think 40 seconds. I had no idea how to move. I was used to pressing W, A, S, and D to move, and that didn't do anything except start typing, because at the time arrows were the thing. Um, so I logged off, and then again I started again in 2000. I'm 3 years, almost 4 years, 2018. So 2014, around there. So I make another account. I forgot I had an account already. I make another account, I download the default viewer, and I log in. It sends me to the Safe Hub Arapaima, right? And I walk around there randomly, figure out how to move, and this guy Johnny messages me. And he's like, "Hey, you seem new. Are you a Smurf account?" And I'm like, "No, I just got the game. I'm checking it out. I was wondering if you know, since you messaged me, I was wondering if you know where the anime people are." And he was like, "Yeah, sure. Just press that and that and that and type that in, and you can find a bunch of anime places." And I was like, "Thanks, bro." And whatever. We went our separate ways. I didn't have a home, so every time I hit the home button, it would send me back to Arapaima. And this guy Johnny kept on hanging around there, so we kept on meeting and eventually became friends. And he introduced me to some of his friends. We went to their houses. I saw what was going on and all that stuff. I eventually chose to be a human for a while because I didn't have Lyndon to do pretty much anything. In my first 3 days of the game. On my fourth day, when I teleported home to Arapaima from Johnny's place, um, I was just sitting on the rail, and this guy, I forgot, I don't even remember his name, comes up to me and tells me if I fist his avatar, he's gonna give me money. And I had no idea what was going on, so I'm like, okay, dude, sure. So I go with him, I do the deed, and afterwards he gives me 15,000 linden, and I'm like, oh shit, son, I'm rich. And he's like, don't spend it all in one day. I'm like, yeah, uh-huh. Can you guess the first thing I did? Yeah, I went to bought a kimono avatar, and then I think I've wasted about an entire day looking at clothing for the kimono. I bought a bunch of stuff. I think by the end of the day I had about 5k left. So that's how I found about Second Life and got started with it. Now, after a while, I kept on going to anime places and so on and so on until I met Penny Bunny. Think a bunch of you know Penny Bunny. Uh, and he did one of his we hung around, went places. He showed me around, taught me a few things, and then uh, we went to, I forgot what's the name of the club. It was ran by this chick called Demonix, and we started hanging around there for a while. I think it was about 3 or 4 months that we hung out there. There were a bunch of us having fun, setting up stuff and dancing and whatnot. You know, usual. Uh, but in the end, that got closed down. I don't know anyone in the game anymore. No one logs in anymore. So I took a break and I went to do something else. I came back, I think about after 8 months, and eventually I was like, hmm, everyone keeps making stuff, but I can't find stuff that's the way I want it and affordable for me. Because keep in mind, I wasted most of my money in the first few days that I got it from that guy, and I had no idea how to make more money. So I asked around, like, how can I make London to buy stuff? And everyone told me various jobs. Most of them were the shady jobs. And I ended up going to Escort Oasis, and the owner, Genuine, there, he let me DJ at the club, regardless of me having no freaking experience as a DJ. I told him that I used to run a live stream radio back when I was 14, and he was like, "Yeah, sure, go ahead, give it a try." I went on, did great. I made about 800 linden. Again, blew it all, same day. And then I started meeting the furries, and I noticed that the furries were, well, they were totally different than everyone else. Let me tell you that. Like, they were all unique. You couldn't find one that would looked exactly the same as the other. Unlike the human community where everyone was looking pretty much the same style. But the furries again were totally different, and you had ponies, and pretty much everyone was hanging out together at the time. And that's when I met this guy named Banana. He walks around in a deaf avatar with horns and stuff, hoodie and skull. I think. I think he has a skull or something on his face. Well, anyways. And I met this guy and I asked him, "Hey, you make stuff. Can you teach me about Blender?" And he said, "Yeah, sure, sometime when I have some other time when I've got some free time and I'm not doing stuff and whatnot." So he taught me a few basics about Blender. And I was like, "Okay, sure, uh-huh." Hmm. I looked at that. He helped me make the Alex mesh glasses that you see guys see on the marketplace. I uh, I made those while I was on Skype share screen with him, and I think that was my first item that I made in Blender. Other than that, I used to just import stuff for myself from other games. But up until then, I had a marketplace, but I was usually just selling textures, eye textures, tongue textures, clothing textures, and so on and so on. I don't think you can find most of the old stuff on the marketplace anymore. I think I removed it. But yeah, that was about it. Then eventually I was in a sandbox and I met this chick, Moon something, and another one, I forgot her name. And we started talking, blah blah blah. Toxic Moon knew how to. She changed her name to Toxic, so I keep calling her Toxic now. So Moon got, she knew about Blender a bit, and asked her, "Hey, can you teach me some stuff?" She was like, "Yeah, sure." And she taught me the pick one, skip one technique that lets you remove vertices from mesh and so on and so on. Um, then eventually I met Soup, who again was her boyfriend was, I think her boyfriend was a professional game designer, and she was into 3D modeling as well. And asked her, "Hey, how do you?" I started asking her questions about Blender and so on and so on. And she replied most of the times, but yeah, most of the time she was AFK working on stuff. She was getting contracted left and right, getting commissions, and so on and so on. At this point, I think I was pretty much somewhere around still doing default kimono clothing. And after a few more months, I learned Blender a bit better, and I saw the ABC boobs on the marketplace. I was searching for kimono boobs that jiggled, and I saw the ABC boobs, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy these. I didn't think to look if there were clothing for it or so on. So I just bought them straight up. And I get these, I put them on, and then I go and look for clothing. And obviously I couldn't find squat, because at the time there was no one making anything for the ABCs. So this is about the time when the cat face lingerie started making a comeback again. And I was like, hey, that cat face lingerie is pretty cute, so might as well make a version of it for myself, right? So I made it for myself, and I went to meet with some friends, and they were like, "Oh, that's pretty cute. Oh, you made that? You should sell it." And I was like, I don't know." So I put it up on the marketplace, and it kind of blew up. It really kind of blew up. There was another one that was, in my opinion, better than what I had at the time, but mine just blew up because it was pretty much the only thing for the ABC boobs at the time. And I kept getting requests from people, hey, can you do more ABC clothing and so on and so on? Because apparently a bunch of people bought the ABCs, but no one was making clothing for them. So I started making clothing. People kept on buying. I made some more. I learned some more Blender. And eventually we got to the present day. The idea is, if you want to make a store, just go for it. Trust me. If you're selling something, people will buy. There's gonna be always someone that's gonna buy anything on the marketplace. I think that there isn't one item in my store that hasn't been bought once. I've even got an alpha layer that I put up recently for the kimono ABC and feta torso to alpha layer the nipples, and that just blew up. It's zero Linden. You should go pick it up if you haven't already. But yeah, I mean, if you don't want to get into making mesh or rigging, all that shenanigans, you can go with textures. You can go with the following: either doing mesh, either doing textures, either rigging, and join a team. Grab another guy. Let's say you're doing mesh. Grab someone who does textures and someone who does rigging, and you split the profits in three. And my suggestion is you either give the extra percentage to the person that does the rigging or the texturing, because the model can be a bit less high quality if the texture is really good, and rigging is really frustrating to deal with, especially when it's someone else's stuff, because you gotta correct geometry and so on and so on, and it's a headache. So that's why those two deserve a bit more than the person who does the mesh. Because whoever does the mesh, they can be like blah 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 mesh, woo! But yeah, mesh is pretty easy to do, as you guys have seen from my videos. It takes me about half an hour to an hour to make mesh, and then most of the time I waste on trying to get it to not clip, because there's always a bit of clipping here, a bit of clipping there, and just drives me nuts. At the start, I had no idea what clipping was, so most of my stuff was clipping pretty badly if you went into certain positions. But now with the Casper text system and me getting the CSV file and updating it, I will start redoing a lot of the old stuff and updating it and so on and so on. But back to topic. So should you start a Second Life business or a store or a club? I don't know about the clubs. In my opinion, they're not profitable. But a lot of the club owners that I've talked to and a lot of my friends that own clubs, they say it is. Well, there you go. They personally say it is. In my opinion, they're not. As for a store, like I said, you can get on one of the three basics of mesh of 3D modeling, texturing, rigging, or uh, meshing. And if you're getting to mesh, you can make your mesh unrigged, get rigs from creators. Uh, don't bother with Matra, it's gonna take you a whole lot of time. I suggest you get Slink or some of the others that are easy to get first. Make mesh around them, sell them on the marketplace for full permit at a higher price, of course. And you can make money like that as well. If you're good with Photoshop, Paint Tool Side, GIMP, and so on, texturing basically, grab clothing off the marketplace that comes with the developer kit. Make a shit ton of textures, at least 5 of them, minimum 5, and upload them all at the same time, filling the info for all of them, and then press update, 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 update. So you spam the market with your clothing at that moment. And eventually, when someone searches for something, they're gonna see all your stuff. Because you know, the marketplace can list 96 items on one page. And if someone does that and they scroll down and you have just one item there, they're just probably gonna scroll over it, right? So best to have like a bunch of them, recolors and so on and so on. But if you're selling recolors, don't be a dickhead and sell a recolor for, let's say, a pair of underwear for 100 linden. That you're just being a dickhead then. The maximum you can go for a recolor of a texture is, I would say, 70, 85 linden, the most. If you're going higher than that on a recolor, you're pretty much a dickhead and you're just looking to steal people's money. I don't care how good your texture is. If it's more than 85 linden for a recolor, you're a dickhead. Moving on. If you're do rigging, I suggest you join all the Blender groups, the Maya groups, and the 3ds Max groups. And you keep an eye out for someone that says, hey, I need someone that can rig. Boom! When you see those words, I need rig, you're on it. You message that person faster than Sonic runs. And you're like, yo, bro, I can do it. And offer them a price. How much, depending on how fast you can do it. If you can do rigs, you take a look at the mesh he has. And if it's something that will be really easy to rig, you charge a higher price. If it's something that would take a long time to do, charge a lower price. And I suggest going by hourly rates instead of fixed amounts. If you go by fixed amounts, you're gonna come down. You're gonna sell yourself really short. And if you go with the actual numbers that you would need for the hourly rate, for example, for me to do a custom work, it takes me somewhere between 3 to 9 hours to do any item and rig it for anybody without clipping and so on. Now, let's say I would charge everyone the maximum of 9 hours. That would be a pretty hefty amount and it would scare people off. It would scare people off. But if I say 3,000 linden an hour, they're not that scared, right? But when you hear 56,000 linden, well, you're shitting your pants and you're like, okay, I'll go try and find another one. And obviously, a lot of people are gonna be scared by big numbers. So best to go with the hourly rate. This is a marketing scheme that pretty much everyone uses nowadays, I think. Or is it just me? But yeah. And do rigging. You can make money out of any of those. Texturing, rigging, and meshing. You don't need to know all three of them to make money on Second Life. You only need to know one, and then you can get in a team. If you don't want to just do your one thing, you can find two others that do the other two things, and you guys can make a team, split the profits, and so on and so on. Plus a bonus, if you're working in a team, you're not gonna get burned out like I am most of the time. For me, I think I have about 2 or 3 items that come out a month, mainly because of the burnouts that I have and Blender crashing and getting frustrated and deleting projects and so on and so on. If I were to work in a team, I would just do the mesh or the rigging. I don't do texturing. If it's not with baking them, I don't bother with doing regular textures by hand anymore. I gave up drawing a long time ago. It was fun while it lasted, but it got frustrating really fast, really easy. So, I hope this was useful for you guys, and if you have questions, let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to press the like button, subscribe, and share the video with your friends that are thinking of starting a business. If you guys have any ideas for future videos like this, let me know in the comment section below or send me a message on Second Life. My legacy name is Alex Acroft Resident, or you can just uh, if you don't know how to spell that, just search for Acroft, like the name of my channel, on the marketplace in Second Life, or on the search feature by pressing Ctrl F and type in Acroft. You'll find my main store. You can go there. Most of the time I'm gonna be there because I usually just go log in, stay there in AFK while I'm working. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. This is Alex Acroft signing off.